Hey y'all, welcome back to Earth to Mars Moment. So this video is all about different things that you should not do before your next trip. So the first thing you should not do before your next trip is to pack the night before. I cannot tell you how many times I have personally done that, and it was a disaster. If anything, I would recommend packing a little bit each day leading up to your trip, even if it's like 20 minutes a day. Take those 20 minutes a day and pack something in your suitcase, whether you're packing toiletries, whether you're packing your clothes. Just take a few minutes each day leading up to your trip and pack a little something, because if you don't, you will forget something. Now, the second thing that you don't want to do before you leave for a trip is to not use a packing guide. I'm telling you, a packing guide is so needed. It takes away all the stress, all the pressure of having to remember everything you need to pack. I created a packing guide checklist just for you, so you can download it, get it sent straight to your email, and then use it before you start packing. I use this exact same one that I made before every single trip that I take, because if I don't, I will forget something. So use the packing guide checklist, people. It will make your life so much easier. So the next thing to not do before you leave for a trip is to not research the area. You want to really make sure that you are researching the area you'll be staying. Now, I'm talking everything past the accommodation portion of the trip. So past the hotel, past the Airbnb that you booked, you want to know what the actual neighborhood is like that you're staying in. You want to know what the transportation system is like. You want to know if there's a certain dress code that you may have to follow in certain areas. You always want to research the area that you'll be staying in, especially if it's an area you are not familiar with. You don't know the people there, you don't know the language possibly, you may not know the customs, the culture, so this is all research that you want to make sure you do before you leave out, because if you don't, you will have, for one, a lot of culture shock possibly whenever you get there. You'll just feel very unprepared. This is a step that I really recommend you don't overlook, because it will save you a lot of headache in the long run. You'll feel more at ease once you get there, because you'll know a lot about the area that you'll be staying in. And honestly, your safety comes first, because you want to really ensure you're staying in a safe place, a safe accommodation. So overall, research the area. Do not skip this step. The fourth thing that you should not do before you book a trip is to pull an all-nighter. This is another one that I was guilty of. For my last international trip, we went to the Dominican Republic, and I ended up pulling an all-nighter the night before we were supposed to leave out, just because I did not have my life together. And I was extremely exhausted by the time the trip actually came. We had at least an hour and a half drive to get to the airport. The plane ride itself wasn't so bad. It was only a few hours, but I was exhausted by the time we made it there. So I would highly recommend against doing that. If anything, you want to have more sleep the night before your trip, because from the airport, the travel itself, the airplane, get into your destination, possible Ubering, taxis, all that, your body will be tired. So the last thing to not do before your next trip is to not check your boarding information for last minute changes. If you've traveled anywhere, I'm sure you know just how common it is for these airports to make last minute changes to flights and last minute changes to this and that in time. So you want to make sure you are always staying on top of that. Sometimes your flight could get pushed up by a few minutes, and that can make all the difference in the world if you're running a little behind. Sometimes your flight can get pushed back for hours, and that can also make a really huge difference. So I highly recommend getting your boarding tickets on your phone if you don't already, because if there's any changes, it'll automatically be updated on your phone. And check your emails for any updates they may be sending out, but just really stay on top of any last minute changes. And that is all that I have for you for this video on things you should not do before your next flight. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification, because I have a lot more travel content coming very soon. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.